Live for the virtual Kansas Speedway, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where this afternoon we are set to do battle once again in the middle of playoffs for the premier sim racing Outlaw Motorsports Truck Series. My name is Ollis Ramble alongside Derrick Watson, bringing you all of racing action from start to finish this afternoon with Dustin and Ollis behind the cameras in the production trailer. Derrick, it's the second race here in playoff season and only one to go before we eliminate some drivers here to see who advances into the next round. And, well, boy, the playoffs have definitely gotten off to a bit of a feisty start here this afternoon, and they're showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
You're right here for the Outlap Motorsports Truck Series. Here we are at Kansas. We'll go to Charlotte next week. That'll be a cutoff. That's a road course, by the way. That's the Roval. That'll be a wild ride to see who does and doesn't make the cut. Then Chicagoland, Dega, Martinsville, your next three. And then we go on through the schedule thereafter. A second road course later for COTA. So if you're not a good road course driver, you're probably not going to have an easy time in these playoffs. Speaking of the playoffs, let's take a look here and see the grid. Two people locked in last week. Nolan, Richard Regan Jr. won the race last week, locked in. Bradley Holly locked in on points. So when we talk about eliminating four drivers, well, two less spots are now available in this system, Nolan. Let's take a look at how the playoff points line up here as we get through the first race. There's your cut line down in 12th. Nicholas Hunter, 4 points to good. Matt Gagnon, not here last week, jumped a bunch of points. Colton Lane, Dustin Bumgarner, and Doug Evans 13, 14, 15, and 16. But look at that, Nolan. Only 13 points back from the cut line with 2 races to go. Anything is possible.
Right, it was Steve Loving being 25 points to the good here. It really is just Nicholas Hunter fighting off the hordes of Matt Gagnon, Colton Lane, Dustin Bumgarner, and Doug Evans all the way behind him. So he's in a fight of his own. He can't rely on one of his competitors dropping back unless another playoff driver doesn't show up here this afternoon. But for the time being, well, Nicholas Hunter in a class of his own here this afternoon, and he is going to have one heck of a fight ahead of him over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, Nolan. It's a great race, a great track here for racing, I should say. I'm excited to be here at Kansas.
I am excited to be here as well, and I'm sure that plenty of drivers are excited to be here, including Outlap Motorsports, one of the folks that keeps the lights on here for the Premier Sim Racing Truck Series. Outlap Motorsports. At Outlap, motorsport is more than just a hobby, it's therapy. They know the garage, they know the paddock, and they know the driver's seat can be a safe space. That's why Outlap proudly supports men's mental health and encourages drivers to check in with themselves and with each other, because what happens off the track matters just as much as what happens on it. Derrick, we are just moments away from racing action kicking off this afternoon. About 90 seconds left here in qualifying before we get to the Prophet Python starting grid. And a lot of drivers out on the racetrack putting down lap times. When you're this deep into the playoffs, not a lot of drivers have wanted to take the gamble and start in the back.
No, you definitely don't, especially if you're a playoff driver like Richard Regan Jr. here in the 56. And Neonism truck here is right in the top lane. It's going to flirt with the wall. That's how you get successful here. You get down on the apron. You find every iota of a second you can. And what does it do for you on the grid? It puts him 25th for the first run. So let's see if he gets a better lap here. It's going to get down. Actually a little low, I thought, through 1 and 2. Up against the wall on the back straight. And then I want to see how many seams he goes down here. For a hot lap, Nolan, he's going all the way down to the white line. That is deep in that corner. He'll let the truck drift back up. He'll get down on the apron. Let's watch it this time. A 30.9 the first time. A 30.187 moves him up to pole just like that. And here's Matt Gagnon, his teammate. Let's see if he can do the same thing.
Matt Gagnon pulling to a stop at the inside of the racetrack. He will only be good enough for 22nd here this afternoon. There is the number 26, who is not on a timed lap at the moment, so he is just getting a little bit of extra practice laps in here. Can't say I blame him, right? You might want to take the chance to get a few of those laps in, and well, qualifying going to draw to a close, and let's take a look at the Prophet Python starting grid as we get set to go racing for the second race in the playoffs. Richard Regan Jr. at the buzzer puts the Neonism number 56 on pole position by just 0.05 of a second ahead of Dustin Bumgarner on row number 1. Row 2 on the grid, we've got Jeff Evans in the Miracle Flow, number 51, Ford F-150. He starts alongside the Toyota Tundra, number 27 of Steve Loving for Regenboog Motorsports. Back in 5th place, it's Nicholas Godina. He starts alongside Doug Evans from Miracle Flow Motorsports. Row 4 on the grid, we got Mark Kaler for Outcast Racing. He starts alongside Kyle Dewey. Then rounded out the top 10 this afternoon, it's going to be Zach Williams for RBM Prophet Python alongside Regenboog Developmental's drivers of Nick Beyer.
Going to be back in the P11 here, and it is Brett Adams, number 23 truck. He's next to Robert Barney, who we saw in the 26. All these drivers still within 1/10 of a second of the pole, by the way. Look at that. James O'Brien in the 38, back here with Daniel Knight in the 17. Daniel back this season after taking season 2 off. Bradley Holly has advanced into the playoffs round 2. He's back there in 15th, next to 16th place of Colton Lane, who's below the cut line currently. P17, Nicholas Acosta in the 816 for Tabitha Rossi Esports is next to the 171, the Miracle Flow Motorsports car of Nicholas Schwartz. And then rounding out row number 10, the 99 is next to the 9, Brandon Walter and Jacob Watson.
11 more drivers here at this 31 truck grid. It's Nick Hunter for Grinds Racing down to 21st place. He starts alongside Matt Gagnon down in 22nd. Row 12, it's James Graham alongside Mike Toomer Jr. Row 13 on the grid, we got Doyle Lawrence. He starts alongside Stacy Hunter. Row 14, it's going to be in 27th place. The likes of Ted Lowendick and James Morgan not putting down qualifying times. They're joined by the likes of Jacob Dunn, Thomas Sink, and Nick Seraph. And Derrick, that closes out the Prophet Python starting grid.
It really does, Nolan. And you know that every second counts, both on the track and in the world of deals. That's the edge that Profit Python delivers. It's the ultimate Discord for deal hunters and side hustlers with lightning fast alerts on price drops, secret sales, and hidden jackpots. Before the rest of the world catches on, you should find out. The race to profit is on, so scan that QR code on your screen to join now. Profit Python. Strike fast, profit faster. And you know, Nolan, that tagline, strike fast, stands out to me because there were some drivers who were given no qualifying penalties after race 1. Some of them, James Morgan, Jacob Dunn, Ted Lowendick, the 3 Thomas Sinks back there as well. So at least 4 drivers at the very, very back of this grid are trying to advance in the playoffs. So you're back there talking 25th on back, trying to make the cut line.
A lot of drivers are going to be going to make a bit of an effort for themselves and to get into the playoffs, right? And again, 25th on back. That's it's such a hard thing to be starting that deep in the field, and then you have to try to work your way all the way back to the point, especially when you're in such a critical playoff position. And it doesn't help, right, that all 31 trucks have taken to the grid here this afternoon. So if you're one of these playoff guys starting deep in the field, you're going to have one heck of a time ahead of you trying to claw your way back through the field up to the point.
And here's what stands out to me, by the way. Remember earlier I said if you're not a road course fan, if you're not great at it, you're going to have a hard time. Imagine going into, if you're not a road course driver, you have to work extra hard this week because the Charlotte Roval, arguably probably one of the easier road courses on the NASCAR schedule. But still, like you don't want to have to fight your way in at the Roval trying to get into the playoffs. You want to secure it tonight. There's 2 of the drivers, Sink, Morgan, Nick Surratt, the very last car back to 67. There's Jacob Dunn back there, and Ted Lowendick right ahead with Theodore Jr. in the back of the truck. So these 4 cars right here, playoff drivers, they want to get in. They want that spot, Nolan. And again, knowing some of these drivers like I do, I mean, if you're Ted Lowendick, you're a road course ringer. You probably are happy to have the Roval next week. Dunn and Morgan, not so much. They might need to fight harder to get into the playoffs in this race.
A lot of people say that Martinsville is one heck of a wild card race for a cutoff. Well, I would definitely argue here that, a road course is probably an even bigger wild card because at least at Martinsville, you come down pit road and get damage fixed under cautions. You don't get any sort of cautions over here this afternoon at the road courses. But for now, it's racing to the Kansas Speedway. The field will work their way out of turn number 4 and will enter the restart zone. Time to get the party started. It's go, go, go at Kansas. Coming off at turn number 4, Richard Regan Jr. coming to lead lap number 1 as they look for 3 wide for the lead, and several drivers getting caught early on, including number 2 contender right now, Dustin Bumgarner alongside Steve Loving. They will both be forced into pit road here.
Yeah, I have to admit to you, I'm not quite sure what those would have been for, and neither was the leader in this scenario, so I'll wait and see if we can get word from race control on what those black flags are for, but they were both handed out by race control, so we'll wait and see if we can confirm what those may have been for. But up front, Richard Regan Jr. is leading this field now. He's got Bumgarner behind him. He's got Evans. He's got Kalen, and some other drivers on back here, Nolan. And I think it's fun to already see how these different lines are forming here at Kansas.
Kansas has always been known as a multi-groove racetrack, and no truer is that than here in stock truck action that really tends to let those lines shine. Oh, hold on, as the 25
trying to get down.
Nicholas Godina jumping down to the apron as one truck hops down to the apron as well. That was coming to pit road, going to be Bumgarner from the top end of the field, and a bit of a nervy moment. We nearly had caution number 1 early on.
He was begging the field. He's got, I got to pit, I got to pit, I got to pit. And he was doing, they were doing their best, but it's hard to let him in right there. Steve Loving black flagged again, by the way. That one is by iRacing, maybe speeding on pit road. We'll wait and confirm that, but Steve Loving having a pretty rough night. There's Loving right there. So he's already off of pit road going down again to serve a second black flag. That's a rough start to a night.
It was not for speeding on pit exit. It was actually for an unsafe pit exit. It crossed up too soon before that blue line out of turn number 2, and that is going to cost him dearly here this race. That effectively could very well be a race killer right out of the gate, not even 5 minutes deep into this race. Such a tough break early on, but meanwhile, one truck up into the outside wall for a brief moment. That was Zach Williams that just clipped off the fence. He's able to gather it up, hits the wall again, though, out of 4, and now he's alongside with Robert Barney and Nick Byer.
Yeah, now it's going to be a dangerous as the night goes on, Nolan. This is a momentum-based racetrack in so many different ways. Not only sticking with the draft is going to be important, but everything about this truck, not killing any iota of speed, and every time you rub that wall, you're doing it in some little way. So Zach Williams needs to be careful here. He may not necessarily, total the truck per se, but he might find himself a little bit more off pace than the rest of the field. He hits the wall, he hits someone inside. Who was that? That's Kyle Dewey hit inside. Apologies given, and we're all good.
Boy, well, they haven't had a caution yet, but they are certainly trying for it, it seems, as Zach Williams having a rough couple of laps to kick off his afternoon at the office. One truck down onto the apron a long way. I think that is Nick Seref, in the number 67 entry as he starts to slide back to the field with the Knucklehead Motorsports machine. He's going to fall back behind Jamie Graham, as well as Graham fights his way up and into the 25th place spot.
Meanwhile, up front here, look at this. Jeff Evans up to P2. He's got Mark Kalin right behind him. And then Nicholas Godina is right behind them. So these top 4 pulled away a little bit on the gap from P5. That's James O'Brien on back here. And when you got Evans and Kalin right there together, it's basically RBM and then Miracle Flow, Whataback for your top 3 at least in teams. And Miracle Flow and Whataback are basically satellite teams of one another. So right now, Richard Regan has to kind of be aware to make sure that, Evans and Kalin don't try and pull it out of line and make something happen.
Well, Jeff Evans is trying for it. He's looking to the inside, and it's interesting to see the different lines that we see into these corners. Evans trying to fill the mirrors in turn 3. Maybe cause Regan to track up a little bit too soon out of turn 4. But then it takes a wider arcing line through 1 and 2 these last couple laps as well. So Richard Regan Jr., he's doing a good job playing defense, but Jeff Evans, he might be trying to find a way through, and he's got to get a move on too, because sooner or later, Mark Kalin's going to be fed up running back in 3rd.
Yeah, I think after running the trucks this week, I think it might be more of a case of avoiding dirty air at the moment. Nolan might just be trying to find some clean air for that truck so you're not stuck in the wake of all that dirty air that Rich is throwing backwards. I mean, it could be a little bit of both where he is trying to find a way around as well. But you see even Mark Kalin's kind of backed up here a little bit off of Jeff Evans, just trying to not have anything bad happen. Back to the field, back in P9. That's Robert Barney. He's next to Doug Evans in that bright green Miracle Flow machine. So couple of playoff drivers. Doug Evans well below the cut line. Those playoff drivers, by the way, Nolan, indicated in the orange on your ticker there under the car numbers. So if you want to know who is and is not in the playoffs, that's a good way to find out.
A lot of playoff contenders in the top 10 right now. Only 3 drivers in the top 10 are not in the hunt for a championship. Those 3 being, of course, Godina, Adams, and Byer. As we continue to watch this battle between Doug Evans and Robert Barney develop for what's right now 9th and 10th on the racetrack. A lot of single file up in the top 10, all the double file deep in the back of the field. Graham appears to be slowing.
Yeah, Jamie Graham's super slow now to the very back of the field. I'm not sure if maybe he made contact with the wall and is trying to get that truck back under control, but you can see he is falling back a little bit. Let's see if we can find the replay here. Nolan, watch this. He's going to just about wreck the truck, and we got contact right there with that green truck. 3-1 on the bottom, hits Acosta, and up the track. This is not going to be good. Oh, Acosta just missed a second bump right there. That would have sent both of them to no man's land.
No kidding, right? And that kind of leads to the question, right, about how do you treat that apron down there, especially in the tri-oval. A lot of drivers do like to go down there and utilize that bit of apron, right, to get a little bit of extra speed going for them. You screw up some momentum, but it does help in the short term at least. The problem is it leads a big question, right, of where is the track limits? And a lot of leagues will take the approach, right, you can use that apron, but nobody above you is entitled to let you back on the racetrack.
Correct. 100%. That's usually the mantra I see people follow all the time is, yeah, if you get down there, it's also your job to get back out of there. So you're going to worry about both ends of that. Now that surface down there, as the night goes on and the tires wear, it'll become a little bit more slick. Now that's important, Nolan, because a lot of the drivers I talked to this week pre-race talked about this kind of being a tighter setup. We use the iRacing official setups. This truck setup is a little tight compared to normal, so a lot of drivers were trying to find ways to loosen this thing up. So I suspect as the night goes on, you might see some drivers go down there because they want to get a bit looser race truck in through the corners. Oh, hold on. Thomas Sink is super loose back to the field. And that's checked up here just ahead, behind where our camera shot was.
And that looks to have potentially started all the way back into turn 3. So there's been something that has definitely happened. To see a little bit of damage on the left rear of that number 48 Chevy Silverado. And here is a look at what happened as, oh boy, got a shot to the shorts from behind. Oh man, and everyone just comes stacking in there.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, he just got bumped and he just kept going. Like, that initial shot was not even a bump drive, it was more like a bump shove, wasn't it? Like, he just never really lifted.
And Mark Kalin jumping up into the number 2 spot while we were looking at that replay. So Kalin, I talked about it earlier, right? Sooner or later, he's going to be done running in 3rd, and he wants to try to see if he can have a bid for the lead of the race. Now he's all the way up to the outside, right up by the wall, trying to run down Richard Regan Jr.
You know, in the league, Nolan, we have a history of these things we call Mark Kalin racetracks, and they're kind of your more classic mile and a half that sort of age pretty well. They're a little rough in the tires, and Mark seems to come alive at tracks like this consistently. He does the tracks he's not great at, and he knows it, but tracks like this he loves to race at, and he always seems to find his way to the front here.
Look at that grin that he had all the way down the back straight of there into turn number 3. He is having a great time at this racetrack. You can tell he is loving every single second of this race so far, and he is feeling confident behind the wheel.
Yeah, he really is the bluegrass native with the blue wall behind him. Now wants to run down Richard Regan Jr. Mark's definitely a driver in the past couple of years, Nolan, who's really more consistently found his way to the front than he used to. Has worked a lot on his racecraft. Has worked a lot on just himself, his personal goals, and great progress all around for Mark Kalin. But he is consistently now, more common than not, in the conversation at the front of these races.
So far, Richard Regan Jr. has led every single lap of this race. Outside of the opening couple of laps, virtually unopposed, although not for lack of trying, as Kalin tries to for the outside again. But meanwhile, deeper in the field, this is Doug Evans losing the spot back to Colton Lane. Lane going to take over P11 on the racetrack, and now one away from breaking into the top 10. He's got Kyle Dewey just in front of him. So Colton Lane is on the move. He nearly gets hit by Evans from behind, and that almost stacked him up into Brandon Walter.
I remember Doug Evans came in here, as I believe did Colton Lane, below the cut line tonight. Now that number has moved pretty drastically, I suspect, due to the drivers who are in the back of the field and still running through. But so these drivers need to race hard all night long. They cannot budge. Right now, they're 11th and 12th on the track. Lane is 11th. Evans is 12th. There's 9th and 10th. That's Kyle Dewey and Ted Lowendick up ahead of them. Oh, Doug Evans going to squeeze it in there. He is desperate to get to the bottom of this track.
Colton Lane continuing to fight this one out on the top side, but Doug Evans wanted to take his 11th spot back. So he now looks to the inside and in return number 1. Holds that truck all the way down against the white line.
Gotta get up here.
And he can't clear him, though. Colton Lane's got the run up on the top, and he's going to just barely get the nose in there.
Wow, Colton Lane, I thought that truck wiggled a little bit out of the corner, Nolan, and he got a little loose, and that's why Lane didn't pull away, because that top lane should give you the momentum you need to push on through. Brandon Walter will give a small bit of a draft to Doug Evans. As these two going to work together, I think they are. Just maybe enough for maybe Evans to clear here. When he does, he's got to get up and use that old-fashioned slide job. I know it's a term that's definitely been overused and worn out, but it's what you got to do here at Kansas. Otherwise, you see right there, Lane is just going to be dominant on the top lane.
It is virtually one of the only ways to pass the Kansas Speedway down the inside, right? Is just chucking her in deep, sliding her up almost up into the outside wall, just like you saw Mark Kalin attempt as he looked to close up to the back out. Sorry, that's Dustin Bumgarner closing up to the back of Steve. Nope, I was correct. Kalen and Richard Regan Jr. going at it once again as Richard Regan Jr. down to the bottom side. Kalen still up at the top. Apologies about that. The two trucks in front happen to have a similar color scheme from up top.
Yeah. Can y'all use like polka dots or something? Easier for the commentators. But look at this. You're right, though. Regan's running the top. Kalen is only running the bottom. He's very loose on the bottom. So that truck was kind of a little bit sideways. He's trying to make it work here. Now, the difference in what's going to happen long-term, Nolan, in the different lanes is Kalen's turning in more. He's putting more pressure on those wheels. He's putting more effort into those wheels. He is likely going to run out of tires first if they keep running those opposite lanes of one another.
Right behind them, you see a side-by-side battle for third developing as James O'Brien jumps to the inside of Jeff Evans. You rode on board for a moment there with the driver's side door of Evans, and now James O'Brien pulls the slider, slides up across the nose. Jeff Evans, though, he's got a big run of steam. Does he go to the inside into turn one? No. He's going to lift out, let O'Brien take the spot, and then try again proper and not go for a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, Evans still running P4, has dropped back a couple spots in this race. And O'Brien, that said, is going the opposite way. O'Brien's plus 10 on the day already as far as spots gained in this race. So James O'Brien quickly finding his way to the front in that 38 machine and having a good run here. So now it's a little different. Look at this. It's RBM, Whataback. RBM, Whataback, RBM, Miracle Flow / Whataback. So now we got like one by one as far as, well, that's not right. We get them one at a time in line here.
Behind, they are definitely not single file still as Mike Toomer Jr. goes way up the racetrack, letting Nicholas Hunter try to clear from the inside, but Toomer battles back up on the outside line. So Hunter tries he may. He's got a little bit more work to do. Look at the number 12 behind as well. James Morgan thinking about trying to push it 3 from the inside.
Yeah, Mike last week, Nolan came out here and paid homage to his mother who passed away with his liver in a truck and came that close to winning last week, and just in a very close run towards the end. It looked like Mike might have had a shot at it. Ended up not being the case, but here again today, stuck in a good battle here for P18, P19, and trying to pull away from Morgan, Hunter, and others back through the field here. So Mike Toomer running the top of that track, and again, we're only still a few laps in here, Nolan. We're only not that far through the race yet, but as this race plays on, if it stays green, which history has proven to us in this league that it will, then who runs what lane will become more important as this run goes on. So we ran this track. Hold on. Oh, no.
Spinning to the inside. It's Nick Byer. He's going to go hard into the inside wall. Also with damage is going to be Robert Barney, who got pinned up against the fence with the Advantage Behavioral Health number 26 Toyota Tundra. And boy. Well, caution number 1. And what were you saying, Derrick, about this race going green?
I was going to say, we ran back here in season 1 and only had 3 cautions across all 75 minutes. We had 1 start of the race and then 2 at the very end. So it actually had green flag stops back in that race. So it was a good run. Watch the replay again. I mean, that looks like that truck just comes up and they make contact. And then actually the truck that made contact sort of got away with it. And then they wrecked on back through the field.
And I think the truck that got pushed up in there was actually a Ted Lowendick in the middle of all of that. Kind of pushed up the racetrack. It's hard to say if there was room or not, right? I mean, it's such a fine margin, but I think it's probably just racing to Kansas. There you see the look from Ted Lowendick.
I mean,
cases where
there's
room, technically,
there's
yes,
room. It's this thing called lifting. You can lift and not climb the hill, for Pete's sake. Like, this is one of the arguments I don't understand as a driver. Yes, I know you want to be in the gas and you want to have a good lap, but if you're drifting up the hill, do something about it. Like, you could have avoided that contact.
Well, a hard hit into the inside wall for Nick Byer, and this caution flag is going to bring pretty much every single truck down to pit road. And Richard Regan Jr. caught speeding. He's not the only one. Jacob Dunn as well, another playoff contender, caught for speeding. Now Regan is locked in. Dunn very much not. So Jacob Dunn might be in a bit of trouble here. The only truck that has stayed out is the one that got the lucky dog free pass, Steve Lovey.
Wow. This is going to be big to watch Regan come back through the field. It'll be big because it's going to open up the floodgates for everyone else to maybe advance through with the win and to do it that way. You see, Regan right now is going to sit on pit road. That's the penalty here. It's a stop and hold. It's a long stop and hold. So himself and Jacob Dunn will be there, and that means Mark Kalin will assume the lead.
I think it's actually an end of the longest line penalty because stop and holds you have to serve under green. So it's an EOL, so you figure, well, I may as well just sit in my pit stall here and wait for everybody else to pass me up.
That's fair. You're right.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're exactly correct. You're right. We're under yellow, so it's going to be different to what we thought. Well, I was going to say here, I'm not surprised about pit stops, by the way, because this track does love to eat up some tires. I heard that happening through practice this week, so whenever there's a chance to get tires on these cars, that is going to happen. But Nolan, while we're under caution, we should take a second and look back 1 week ago. It was the opening of the Premier Sim Racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series. Their inaugural race with Outlap Motorsports as the sponsor, and Mr. Hedge captured the moments for us. You see, Richard Regan went ahead and won last week in Loudon, New Hampshire. He got to hold the virtual lobster, I suppose. You see some beautiful shots here, just trucks all the way through the track and having a good race. You'll see a couple more shots here from Mr. Hedge. Sim racing is full of unforgettable moments, and Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography can help you capture them all. From your first wins to fresh liveries to, heck, even those crashes you'll never forget. Mr. Hedge turns virtual racing into memories worth sharing. They're clean, they're sharp, and they're made for sim racers. Visit mrhedge.co.uk to get your best moments in focus. Well, Nolan, I think the focus right now has to be the front of the field. Mark Kalin, James O'Brien, Jeff Evans have a new focus. It's called trying to lead this race without Richard Regan in the way.
Yeah, now the only argument is which one of them is going to be the leader. Mark Kalin says, well, I'm starting in first. It feels like it should be me, but O'Brien says, well, Alton lays me good today. If I can get a good launch, well, there goes that notion as, holy cow, neither line got going. Kalin is gone.
Man, look at that. Even behind Kalin, back to Jeff Evans, it just feels like just a whole different race back there almost. And hold on, caution's out instantly for second time, and it's towards the back of the field. Maybe Dustin Baumgartner? I haven't seen what exactly caused it. I saw a couple cars scattering, but I didn't see a cause, honestly.
I think you're right. I think it was Dustin Baumgartner, because he does have a little bit of right side damage now, or left side damage from that. So sounds like he did have some contact to help him kick this one off. So let's take a look and see what happens here. Thomas Sink on the inside. Rich Briggs Jr. 3 wide down low. And, well, that just didn't go the way it was.
The net code, buddy.
Yeah. Jacob Watson, the number 9, did a good job to slip through there.
Yeah, I certainly did. Now, the question, what the review team will look at post-race is what we call inevitable net code, right? So it kind of means, do you believe with Thomas Sink in 48 coming up the hill, do you believe the contact was going to happen regardless? Or do you think it was truly just, bad air, so to speak? That's what they'll figure out there. But, hey, the good news for Mark Kalin, time is ticking away. Remember, in this league, it is 75-minute timed races, Nolan. So when you're the leader, time ticking away is to your benefit. This isn't a case of laps just going slower. This is literally a percentage of the race ticking away every second.
Cautions on a timed race like this mean so much more than they would in a lap race, right? Because you're losing so much more time in the racetrack, right? Because, you got to take into consideration, right? Like one caution lap here, about 53 to 55 seconds thereabouts. A lap under green, almost half that. So effectively, these drivers, on a normal caution, you're losing, what, about 3-4 laps maybe of racing? Yep. Under a timed race, you're losing at least double that.
I would agree. Yep. See a couple trucks probably down pit road. This would be a mix of drivers who either maybe just want to top off on fuel, or maybe trying to get some damage fixed, who were tagging the wall earlier. And we saw, I think, Zach Williams on pit road. Wouldn't be surprised if that truck needs some dent beat out of it. But looking at Robert Barney's down there, Nick Saraf's down there for a very long time, over 25 seconds now. So those stops are going. But some drivers just want to top off on fuel because, as you said, everything matters here. So if you're Jacob Dunn, you're already in the back of the field because you had that end-of-line penalty. Why not top off? What are you losing by pitting this time? And the answer is nothing.
All drivers still out here on the racetrack, save for Doyle Lawrence, the lone contender that has so far retired from this race. Unfortunately, he retired all the way back on lap number 25, so tough break for Doyle Lawrence's night at the end of this one, as we'll go one to green. Mark Kalin again with the inside line. This time it's Jeff Evans to his outside as James O'Brien, after he didn't get a good launch on that last restart, he just dropped all the way back to third in just the span of that run from the start-finish line down to turn number 1.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out. What happens if Evans can time this start a little better than our last restart, and hopefully we can stay green flag racing this time by. Racing under the lights at Kansas, happy here with us. Nolan, I feel like this nighttime racing at Kansas is so exciting, and it feels like it's something that I guess we do in the real life now, but I don't think of Kansas as a nighttime track. I always think of it as the daytime version. But boy, this facility is beautiful at night.
There's something just different about racing under the lights at any racetrack, right? Especially so with these 1.5 miles at the Kansas Speedway. It feels so much more grand, if that makes any kind of sense. I mean, from this shot, you could argue kind of looks a little bit like a certain 2.5-hour racetrack down to the Sunshine State.
It does, doesn't it? Kind of gives that feel with the B-roll or the live shots from the blimp we had. See, actually, the blimp right in the middle, by the way, the Irish blimp right in the middle of that camera view, and we are about to go green here in a moment as pace car is down.
Into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Mark Kalin, just like last time, gets a great launch away from the field. Jeff Evans immediately clears to the inside, leaving Bradley Hawley out to dry on the outside line with no help.
Another great jump by Kalin. You see right there, Jeff Evans is in line. And Bradley Hawley, he's just out here racing for fun tonight. Remember, Nolan, he is locked into the playoffs. He is good. He'll be in the round of 12. So he's out here just trying to gain extra points and help himself in future runs. And there's also still a Season 3 championship we're going to focus on later in the season. There's still lots to race for throughout the season. There's still a team title. So if you're Brad, you can't rest in your laurels because there's still a whole lot of things going on here at Premier Sim Racing.
And now Jeff Evans to the inside of Mark Kalin, jumps to the race lead as Kalin slipping backwards. He's lost the lead. He might lose second here as Hawley now pounces on him immediately in the run for number 2, allowing for Jeff Evans to start to walk that gap out just a little bit more. I think Kalin had an issue in 1 and 2, right? Because that is a lot of pace to lose out of left field.
That's a lot of pace to lose out of left field. And then what's going to happen is although I think if I'm at Evans, I'd want to run the top here through most of these corners and do it that way. As Hawley and Kalin are side by side, they're only costing each other time. Now they've got a single file out. Now Jeff Evans is at the fastest lap. So listen, if you want to make a statement, that's how you do it. But here comes O'Brien, here comes Walter, here comes Colton Lane up in the top 10, by the way. They want to try to get in line and find their way to the front of the field.
Under 50 minutes to go, looking for 3 wide for the third place spot. In the middle is Hawley. To the inside is O'Brien. To the top side is Ted Lowendick. Lowendick round the outside, trying to pick off 2 spots at 1 corner. Hawley holding it right down, contact, and nearly around. They both of them save it, and O'Brien keeps it on the racetrack.
Wow, that was close. The biggest winner of that is Ted Lowendick, who, by the way, Nolan is up 24 spots. Had a did not qualify penalty. He's one of those drivers we talked about being at the back of the field about 20 minutes ago, and here he is up in the top 3.
Well, the pack continuing to slice and dice as we fight back into turns 1 and 2. We jump back just a touch to Brandon Walter, now side by side with James O'Brien trying to find some momentum. Brett Adams trying to go around the outside. As you look down on this field from the air, it is a complete hornet's nest right now in the midfield. And the run up top is big for Brett Adams as he tries to fight his way around Brandon Walter.
You know, and when talking with a couple of drivers this week, we all talked about how this track, Nolan, it kind of keeps everyone under wraps together, right? Not exactly a drafting lane like a super speedway, but you're all here, you're all kind of bunched up together, you're all battling for something, right? Everyone in this pack is battling for a spot. I mean, look at this. First to last is 8 seconds. That's not a lot of time when you think about it. When on a lap time, it's 30 seconds. Everyone's within a third of a lap of one another right now. So that's a good track, a good set of time. Here's Bradley Hawley, by the way, with the room lit up like the paint scheme. See Brad's kind of focusing right now, have some conversations with the Discord voice chat, all the Lego sets in the background. And here, this is Brad's helmet cam of sorts. Nolan, this is all what we get to see, what Brad sees right there through the view. You see all the overlays he has set up, the view he has when he is trying to run down Mark Kalin.
It's always interesting to get these very, very unique views from some of these drivers, and especially from Bradley Hawley, right? It's an angle that we don't really see anywhere on the RC service, right? I mean, trying to find another driver, you're going to be hard-pressed to find one that has a setup quite like this, especially one that can broadcast out to broadcasters like us to bring you the looks as well. Oh, man, look at Brandon Walter squeezing in Brett Adams to the outside wall and nearly hooked him into 3.
Yeah, racing's getting close, and it's going to be close all night long, right? That's the fun of this track, is how close you stay together. And that's what I talk about momentum, right? You have to keep your momentum. It's almost like racing a go-kart, which is a weird comparison. When you're go-kart racing, the whole goal to be fast in a go-kart is to never break momentum. And the same thing for the trucks here. You have to be on the throttle. You need to be making those lines and those exits perfectly, in the draft preferably, and just really just always thinking about what you can do. Here's Matt Gagnon, by the way. Matt was over the social medias, by the way, for Premier Sim Racing during the Sim Gaming Expo. Did a couple interviews. He was dressed up in a nice suit, had a jacket on, I think he had a tie on, and this nice look there from Matt. It's a racing chair for Matt, I'm pretty sure. We've gained a racing chair, and we've lost the ski goggles for Matt Gagnon.
I'm sorry, was he racing with the ski goggles on?
Weekly usually, yeah. He races with ski goggles on.
How did he see?
Well, given his crash history, it's questionable, but he still races with the ski goggles on. I love Matt. I'll get a DM later for that comment. I love Matt, but yeah.
I've worn ski goggles. So those are not easy. They're deliberately designed to block out sunlight, so those are not easy to see out of. But hold on, slider, huge slider from Kyle Dewey to Brandon Walter. Clears across the nose, and Walter's got the crossover down into turn 3.
Wow. Speaking of limited visibility, all that Brandon Walter had was the back end of Kyle Dewey out his windshield there for a second. That's all he could see. Here comes James O'Brien on through. He says, hey, that looks fun. I want to try that. And look at this, by the way. We talked about this earlier for the most part. As this race has gone on, tires are wearing, less and less drivers down there on the apron of that track. It is worth noting real quick here. I know lots of racing back here, Nolan, but up front, Ted Lowendick now within less than 0.2 of a second up to Jeff Evans. Teddy wants to close that gap. He wants to see if he can win this race. So you see that on the ticker board on the left-hand side of your screen. But here comes James O'Brien. He's going to try to dig in. He's going to try to make a pass. And I think he will get around Kyle Dewey here.
Get around Kyle Dewey, he will. And now Lowendick nearly putting the bumper to Jeff Evans for the lead of the race as Lowendick, he's got that run up top, and he's trying to find a way through. Jeff Evans not making it easy for him, though. Down to the inside line. Lowendick all the way up, nearly into the outside wall as he caught some marbles. Able to gather her out, though. And he'll have to try again. I think it went a little bit too high that time.
Yeah, I think both went a little extreme on their lanes, I thought, that time. But I watched again Evans to the bottoms, getting below that black seam right there. Ted stays to the middle of the track this time, doesn't want to get all up to the top of the track, and he'll end up right in the draft. This would be a good run into 3 and 4. What does Ted do here? Got that gummy cluster in the front of the truck riding along. He's trying to set up Jeff Evans. He's trying to be patient. He's trying not to make any sudden drastic moves that could go poorly.
And now look at the spoil of the party as Mark Kalin fighting back into the mix with the Lotus Dynamics Design number 62 F-150, trying to scream to the bottom side of turn number 1. Lowendick retained up top. All of a sudden, an offense fight turns to the defense, and right back to offense. He clears for second, makes the move to the inside for the race lead. Trying to get down to the bottom side. Evans up top. Might try to let him swap up so he could go for the over-under, but he's not going to have momentum, I don't think, headed down the front.
No, Lowendick's not even fully clear yet. So now, there he is. He's going to slide up in front. Now to put Ted Lowendick, your new leader. Now it's Lowendick, Kalin, and Evans in some order, because now, look at this. Mark Kalin is digging the bottom. Mark Kalin wants to lead. And right now, down the back straight, he is side by side, door by door, nose to nose almost with Ted Lowendick.
Evans still flirting with that outside wall. Really wants to try and insert himself into this battle for the lead, but Lowendick and Kalen remaining 2 by 2 down the front straightaway and closing in this fight as well. Bradley Hawley. So this is about to be a 4-way fight for the lead of the race. And at the moment, Jeff Evans can see Hawley closing, and he's probably starting to sweat just a little bit more behind the wheel in the number 51. Still Lowendick cannot allow Kalen to get clear.
Yeah, and right now, Jeff Evans and Bradley Hawley kind of get a say in this race a little bit, Nolan, because whoever they want to follow of these two trucks ahead, whether it be Kalen or Lowendick, could pull away here, and possibly with a little use of the draft. But right now, it's actually Evans and Hawley now side by side. Third and fourth is racing, and they're not letting Brett Adams in the 23 into this battle. Adams is not that far back from the lead.
Kyle Dewey into the outside wall behind. 3,
Whoa.
4 wide down the back straightaway down to turn number 3. And just like that, it's brought to a stop. Caution comes out. Jamie Graham sideways on the back straightaway. And boy, that was, well, let's be honest here, Derrick. That was leading to disaster in turn 3 if this didn't happen.
I was going to say, that was inevitable, but not in the way I thought, right? When you said 4 wide at Kansas, I thought that's where the caution was going to be. Turns out it ended up being behind him. Now, was that a product of people checking up for the 4 wide, or what happened? We need to wait and see. Watch the replay here in a moment. There's Kyle Dewey. He's up in the wall. That's what kind of starts all this. Here comes Nick Hunter. Here comes more trucks. Mike Toomer Jr. is up in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, in the back. Not unrelated. Jamie Graham and Doug Evans possibly got together. Maybe some more trucks. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, Doug Evans got loose, came off the wall, turned Jamie Graham, and boy, that truck lifted up, and it almost went upside down as I think at one point there was 3 wheels off the ground for the number 1 machine. I know Steve Loving caught a little bit of a piece of that as well when he came on by. This is on board with Evans, and you saw the left side start to pick off the ground.
Yeah, no question what happened there, right? That's pretty cut and dry as far as what happened there. Doug Evans has made a mistake and got Graham on around. Here we are, 40 minutes in to go, I should say. And it's about as cut and dry of a replay as you can get. And some drivers had to really avoid that wreck there as the caution came out. Here's some drivers staying out, Nolan, but pit stops are starting. It's your top 3. Regan, Walter, and O'Brien stayed out. And I think maybe even James Morgan stayed out for 4th. But 5th on back, down pit road.
Steve Lovin as well stays down the racetrack, and that one surprises me because he's actually the 3rd truck that got in to the number 1 as he was spinning sideways. Some split decisions here on this one as well. I believe 1 and 2 trucks potentially here taking fuel only. Some taking maybe 2 tires as well. Hard to kind of say throughout the field, but looking like this pit strategy all of a sudden not as uniform as the first one was about 15 laps in. Or 15
no,
minutes
when you need to manage tires, sets, and everything else, you have to really start to worry about those things and figure it out here. Well, I think this is going to get interesting. I really do. I'm excited to see where this is going to head. I'm excited to see what's up ahead here. I'm excited to see if we can keep this green and maybe get some green flag pit stops in. But we're quickly actually approaching, almost being halfway through this race, 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we're already down to less than 40 to go. So we're already 35 minutes into this race. So it's been a pretty fun, exciting event here at Kansas. And right now, new leader again in James O'Brien.
Lights go out aboard the Irising Pace truck. At this point in time, we are just over halfway home in racing action tonight. James O'Brien, Brandon Walter, Richard Regan Jr., James Morgan, Steve Loving, all drivers that have not come down to pit road under this latest caution flag. And I have a very distinct feeling like that is going to cause a little bit of mayhem here coming off of the hitch here. A lot of drivers are going to be chomping at the bit, a lot of them on fresh tires, and well, 22 lap old tires, that's not the most amount in the world, but it's enough to make a big difference.
Yeah, I would agree. By the way, of note here, Jacob Dunn picked up his 2nd speeding penalty on pit road. So he's got to get that worked out, buddy. Like, I don't know.
Tough break, isn't it? So, well, the pack is going to make their way back on through. James O'Brien, the new leader of the race in the Speed Foundry 38 Tundra. He starts alongside Brandon Walter with the Moza Racing number 99. Green flag up in the air. Big wheel spin there for Brandon Walter right out of the gate. James Morgan shut down as he tried to look for 3 wide up the middle. And Richard Reed Jr. well clear for second into turn 1.
And for the drivers who didn't pit right there, Nolan, that is a buzz kill because that just let every driver with new tires catch up instantly as Lowendick goes to the top. And it's just going to create a mess right here. Like here's Lowendick, there's Holly, there's Mark Caitlin. Now it's Morgan stuck in the middle, 3 wide. And he just has to hold on for dear life. He wanted to get a better jump, hopefully maybe put a gap on his field and try and manage his traffic, but that missed shift by the 99.
Oh, trouble front straightaway. Sorry to cut you off there. We got one truck hard to the outside wall. It's Kyle Dewey again as he has smoked the outside fence with a multi-truck incident on the front straightaway, but only one fully going around and started up with Matt Gagnon.
You see the smoke puffing out of the back of Dewey's truck. That'll be the end of the night for him, most likely. We'll wait and see if that does end up being the case, but let's see what happens here at the start this chaos here. Watch the middle of your screen. Let's see what's good. It's the contact. That's a couple of drivers making contact, and there's Dewey up in the wall. And yep.
And one truck in there just barely snuck through on the outside line of that one. I think that was Nicholas Schwartz who stabbed the brakes and made a sharp wheel correction down to the inside line. But Kyle Dewey effectively done for the afternoon. The tough break, right? Dewey's truck has been put through the ringer this afternoon. He kept coming out here trying to make the most out of a bad day, and, well, it just went from bad to worse, and finally luck got the best of him. Take a look at this one again and watch that truck just get spun down there, and boy.
Everyone did the best they thought they could to try to save it and avoid it, and eventually just, that accordion moves in a way that where someone ends up being the one person that maybe doesn't luck out from that wreck here. So this will be for Nicholas Schwartz and the Miracle Flow machine. Let's watch this here to see up ahead. Oh my gosh, that was close.
Woo. Talk about a heart stopper, right? I mean, that's half luck at that point, getting around that. You just happened to see that truck going up right when he did, and the fact that it went up as quick as it did on that angle, it kind of helped out with the matter there as well, because, I mean, he thought for sure they were going to stay down to the inside, and then, well, one truck jumped up high, and not so much. Again, very split call in the pit road, and pretty much all of the non-pitters on the last caution came down pit road here.
Yeah, I think that quickly we did see the effect of no tires, right? We saw the field going on by, whether it be due to effect of that missed shift and really just kind of letting them catch up, or whatever happens, that the cause was that, whatever the cause was, they said, hey, that looks like we're just going to get past here, so why not go ahead and correct that mistake. We'll take some gas here, about 34.5 minutes to go, and we'll see what can happen. So Ted Lowendick takes back the lead here. So let's do this. Let's actually dial up fellow Green Flag TV commentator Ted Lowendick real quick. I know about to be one to go, so we won't keep him long. But let's see what he has to say. So we'll welcome Ted Lowendick into the broadcast booth. Teddy, it's not your first time leading tonight. You've been up here a couple times now. How's it feel up here? Swinging his mic unmuted. There he is. Ted,
you got me.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's better being up here in the front than it is in the back. I keep thinking I caused that first accident, so I need to look at the replay. I feel bad if I did, but who knows?
So how surprised are you? You're up 26 spots in the night. You started in the back due to that not qualifying penalty. Here you are up front. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. I was concerned that passing would be difficult, but kind of picked my way through there on the first little stint. Yeah, it's been interesting. It seems like you can go pretty much anywhere if you need to make a pass, and fun to set them up high and cut underneath on the backstretch. So it's a pretty good show, hopefully.
All right, well, 33 minutes to go. If we stay green, are you good on pitting?
No, we're all going to have to stop again.
Stop again is the call. All right, Teddy, I'll put you back down with your teammates for one to go here. Good luck, and maybe we'll talk to you later.
Awesome, thank you.
There you go. Well, Nolan, compared to what we thought we'd see at Kansas, Ted says you can pass anywhere here on this track here, so expect lots of more crazy moves as this race goes on.
This takes us back around to just less than a lap to go. In fact, less than a quarter of a lap to go before we go back to green flag racing. Here is Ted Lowendick. Will be the one leading the field here out of turn number 4. Headed to the front straightaway into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air and racing action kicks off once more here at the Kansas Speedway. Lowendick gets away well. Hawley trying to hold Kalen down to the apron and return 1. But Kalen still pulling clear with the second place spot little by little.
Yeah, pulling clear a little bit here. And so it's Lowendick, it is Kalen, it's Hawley, Evans, and Adams, your top 5. But look at this big 2-wide mess on back. It just goes on forever. People 2 wide, trying to make it 3 wide. There's Jacob Watson on the bottom of Doug Evans. He's trying to get on through. That's the battle right there for P11 and P12 between Watson and Evans. They're on the bottom of the apron now. So now we're 3, if not 4 wide at Kansas.
Trying to find a way through, right, as guys again going 3 by 3, looking for 4 deep in the field, and might get a yellow flag here. I think I saw one truck spear off to the bottom, but we're able to gather it up.
Wow, did you see the hands of Nicholas Godina in that webcam shot?
Yeah.
Those hands were moving. That's a sign that something went wrong either for him or someone up ahead, because that hand movement was easily classified as unnatural in that race right there. Let's watch and see what's going to happen here.
Oh boy, Brandon Walsh with
sideways.
a massive slide on the back straightaway.
We go back on board with Nicholas Godina, by the way. I think it's a Fanatec CSL wheel right there. Nolan's got the tape strip, quote unquote, up there, and an RGB light at the top of your wheel. Drivers use that to be able to tell how center your wheel is. You know, if you're off, if you're off center due to damage, and so kind of cool that wheel has the strip up there instead of just maybe like a piece of tape or a paint or something like other manufacturers do.
I wonder what it means when it turns to red like that, right? Because a shift light, as I've been told. Interesting. So
I was thinking it was more of a
shift up.
Go ahead. I was thinking more of a Jedi thing, like
Whoa, hold on, boy. He does not look very confident behind that race car, does he?
No, he's having a hard time. I got some word from the drivers that these trucks were going to be tight in the setups, and at least right now from this truck, that is not the experience that Nicholas Godina appears to be having with all the movement in that wheel, and he tapped the wall that time. That's what caused that, but it is just getting chaotic back here. And that wheel changing multiple colors. I've seen now a green, a blue, a red. Maybe he was using the Force with him when the Star Wars mode was doing for a second, but I guess not.
I thought it was indicating when he's on the brake and when he's on the throttle. And I was thinking that seems kind of redundant to have a light to tell you that. You'd think your feet movements would do that well enough, but a shift light makes sense.
I was going to say with how wild that ride is, maybe the red means he's in danger, which he's been for the last few laps.
Well, he's doing...
there's Diff Evans in the bottom there, by the way. That's with Bradley Hawley. There's Ted Lowendick. This is now for second place because Mark Kalen's up ahead here, by the way. And these drivers now 2x2 trying to work it out. Hawley's up to the top of the track here, Nolan. Evans to the bottom. Lowendick right in the middle. But again, Mark Kalen is trying to pull away here.
Replay coming up here on what was being dodged deeper in the field. Oh, boy, as the 14 got spun up into the outside wall. And, yep, that will facilitate a quick hustle down onto the inside of the racetrack.
Boy, and for Matt Gagnon to 14, that's tough, man, because he missed last week's race. He was part of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series race. He went over there and raced and had a good night there. So he missed last week, and now he's in danger of not doing well this week. So for round one and round 2 of the playoffs, he could easily put himself in a very desperate situation at the Roval next week to find his way in to a spot in the round of 12. But here's Evans and Hawley again side by side. There's Adams and Lowendick. There's Mike Toomer kind of quietly lurking in the background, waiting to pounce on his opportunity. So things are starting to calm down here with less than 30 minutes to go.
Off of turn number 2, down the back straightaway. Jeff Evans has been side-by-side with Bradley Hawley for so long. They've only just now been able to get back down to single-file racing here this afternoon. As Evans looks low. Gonna start to look back to the outside. Still got Lowendick and Adams side-by-side for 4th and 5th. Just behind as well. Evans trying to hunt for the inside, but Bradley Hawley closes the door and starts to drive away with the good diamond line off of turn 2.
Yeah, closed that door, created a dirty air, did everything he could to kind of hold Jeff Evans back a little bit here. Jeff's having a pretty solid run up in the front of the field all day long here, as is Ted Lowendick right behind him. So these drivers all just trying to hunt for whatever's possible as Brett Adams just scrubbed the wall there. So right now, Nolan, if you're in this race, remember Teddy told us no one's done pitting. We've all got to pit again. So now the question runs in my mind, what do you do, right? Do you just go all out on this car and you plan on taking tires and gas? Do you try and save tires and just take gas and shorten the pit stop? Or what do you think is doable as a driver if this does stay green for the next 27 minutes?
I think you just run it and see how it comes, right? We've had a handful of cautions already tonight. There's no reason to assume why we won't get one more, especially with the level of race that we've been seeing so far. Nick Hunter coming down pit road, and quite a bit of damage off to the right-hand side, especially on the right front. So he has absolutely clobbered the wall somewhere on the racetrack. Well, this battle for 4th continues to be one that is hotly contested between Adams and Lowendick.
Yeah, this is becoming a great battle back here. Lowendick's going to try to use the top lane and get away, but just like that, Adams closes the gap back here. And so now it's Evans, Lowendick, Adams in that order. That white and pink truck of Jeff Evans is up there. He's the leader as far as this 3rd place fight. Up ahead, Bradley Hawley for 2nd, Mark Kalin for 1st, is what they're all aiming for as they fight one another.
Still trying to be side by side, but I think finally Jeff Evans may have, I think Ted Lowendick has finally been able to clear from Brett Adams successfully, and that he has. So now Lowendick trying to contend for a podium now. He's just going to push right to the tail bumper here of Jeff Evans. Lowendick going to look up high. Seeks to get a run going for himself. Tries to cut back to the inside, but again, still with not enough of a run to make it happen successfully. There you see Lowendick, bottom right of the screen, as he continues to try and chase down a podium finish here this afternoon, but it's not an easy task. Well, easy enough evidently that he can take one hand off the wheel to drink water. So Lowendick going to continue to keep up the fight here. Deeper in the battle pack, you've got Brett Adams around the outside of Colton Lane. Adams in the AFR number 23, trying to clear out the top side of Colton Lane. Lane pushes up from the inside line, nearly gets into the door, but Brett Adams able to secure for the time being. Right behind them, Dustin Bumgarner. We've seen him get involved in an incident or two tonight as he tries to look to the inside, is off the door, pings Brett Adams up the racetrack, and that lets Colton Lane finally get clear with the slide job.
Remember, this is a great recovery run for Dustin Bumgarner, by the way. Remember, had that penalty to start the race and had to go serve that black flag, basically on lap 2 or lap 3. And here he is now running P7. Those caution flags have benefited him as he has been able to kind of get back with the pack and not be a lap down at this moment in the race. But in that camera shot back there, that yellow truck, that's Richard Regan Jr., by the way. Remember, he got caught speeding on pit road during the first round of pit stops. He's never really fully recovered, Nolan. He's back in P12. I was surprised. I thought someone of Richard Regan's caliber and talent would already be up through the field, but he's just kind of taking his time. Maybe he knows he's advanced in the playoffs, doesn't want to rub any feathers, doesn't want to do anything to make anyone mad. So he's just kind of taking his time here, maybe, and he just wants to see where he can end up in about 23 minutes.
I think it's hard to blame him, right, for wanting to just kind of take it easy, right? Because, I mean, well, yeah, you could probably go for another win here. 2 tracks coming on up in the round of 8. Oh, hold on, as Regan gets chopped off by Thomas Singh deeper in the field. You've also still got this fight here between Adams, Lane, and Bumgarner kicking off here as well. But keeping in mind as well, right, You got Talladega and Martinsville at the round of 8. Those are 2 tracks you need friends at. You don't want to be making everybody angry right before those 2 races in the playoff season.
Yeah, but the flip side of the argument is if I win again, I help control who doesn't make the playoffs. I help control, wins or points and everything. So that's it. Arguments wanting to be up front here if he can make it. And there goes Regan on around Thomas Sink. That's a playoff driver he's up and now ahead of and trying to make his way through. So we'll see if he carves his way through the field. Now it looks like he's kind of picked up some momentum here. That's James Morgan in 12. Mike Toomer's up there. And Regan is on the move. So here we are, 22 minutes left in this race, Nolan. And I think it is probably time that we do our Miracle Flow team update. This will be easy to do tonight because 2 of our 4 drivers are right at the front of the field. We'll start with Brownie Holly. Has been up front all night long, currently about 1 second off the field in that purple 184 machine. Has had a pretty solid run here, Nolan. And I recall has not yet led a lap, but he would love to. And we'll see if he can make that happen before this night is through. Right behind him, your second member of Team Miracle Flow. That's Jeff Evans. Jeff in the white and pink machine having I won't say a career night, but at least a really amazing night. Season best is hard to say. We're only 2 races in. Jeff has led some laps in that truck and has really had a pretty solid night all the way through. After Jeff, we go down to our 3rd member of Team Miracle Flow. We'll look for either Doug Evans or Nicholas Schwartz, and we'll see who pops up. It's going to be Nicholas Schwartz in the 171. We saw Nick involved in a couple incidents earlier, and he is currently running back down through the field here, so we'll see what he can make happen as this night goes on, and then we'll finish off with Doug Evans. Doug, of course, involved in that wreck earlier. And, up in the wall right on the camera shot. Sorry, Doug, for giving you the bad timing there. But Doug is having a pretty rough night here at Kansas. And Nolan, Miracle Flow is more than just hair care. It is built for the bold. They're founded in Rochester, New York. Back in 2015, Miracle Flow was created to elevate both your look and your lifestyle. They're made in the USA, and they're crafted for real performance. And they're trusted by those who show up ready. Whether it's game night out with the boys or a night out on the town, no shortcuts, no gimmicks, just results. Miracle Flow, because your flow isn't just style, it's a statement. Well, boy, oh boy, I think the statement being made tonight is right at the front of the field. Mark Kalin has shown up tonight, has led laps, has had a great run, and there's multiple drivers making statements, some surprising ones. I mean, Colton Lane up here fighting for top 5. I mean, Richard Regan's trying to make a statement back through the field. So lots of statements being made here in Kansas.
And plenty of drivers with something to prove here this afternoon, especially with this being round 2 of the playoffs. Plenty of drivers still fighting for those last precious spots into the next round, right? Some drivers are pretty confident they can make their way into that next round. Others, well, not so much. You've got Ted Lowendick and Dustin Bumgarner been watching them the last little while. Still side by side as Bumgarner cranks down to the inside as Ted Lowendick driving all the way up under the wall, trying to make something happen. A bit of smoke up front. I think Brett Adams may have caught the fence, and that opens up the door for Colton Lane to shoot down the inside.
I mean, look at the right side of your screen. Robert Barney, one of our playoff drivers, already on pit road here with about 19 minutes to go. I'd have to think that's the opening of this pit cycle. So we'll see how Barney does. Just got into his pit box. That's why that second timer is a ticking. Let's watch and see how long it goes for. That time alone will tell us what he does on pit road here, Nolan. He's already above 10 seconds. This is a 4-tire stop for Robert Barney. And it's a long pit stop for Robert. 16 seconds is forever under green flag conditions.
No kidding. What the heck happened there to cause a 16-second stop? You'd have to imagine, right, he was
somebody's
getting
fired.
damage repairs.
Yeah, somebody's fired in that pit crew. I'm telling you right now, if I'm the driver, somebody's going to be on Indeed.com in the morning looking for a new job.
Oh, don't. Not Indeed. Well, I guess it's better than LinkedIn, so.
Ooh. Little hate for LinkedIn. I like it. I like it. Oh, here's Richard Regan. He's going to push it 3 wide. Bumgarner in the middle. Ted Lowendick on the top. And I said I was surprised Regan hasn't pushed through the field. Maybe he was watching the broadcast while racing, because here he comes all of a sudden up through the field. Now he's out up to P6 and trying to get around Lowendick. Then Brett Adams to be up in the top 5.
Well, they were 3 wide for a moment. They'll get it back down to 2 as we punch to within 20 minutes to go here in racing action tonight. Dustin Bumgarner tracking up almost into the outside wall as James O'Brien puts down to the inside line. And right ahead of them again, Regan going to get around Low and Dick as well. So Richard Regan Jr. Guys going to Low and Dick. 2 trucks into pit road. It's Bradley Hawley hitting pit road here. He is alongside Mark Kalin. Oh, and behind.
Oh, no.
Mark Kalin with a black flag. And Dan the Knight kicked the tail end side, was on the way in as well behind.
Oh, Mark Kalin just blew the lead with that black flag, Nolan. He
Yeah.
had so much of a run going tonight. Such a big story. And speeding this time through the pits. More cars going to come down next time by. We can hear the calls on the radio happening. And for Mark Kalin, that'll be a big, that will be, by the way, a stop and hold since under green flag conditions. That'll likely put Kalin a lap down.
Oh, hold on.
Brett
Brett
Adams.
Adams spins her out, and he's going to get a black flag for speeding on the way in. No surprise there. He was well over the limit and nearly took out Jeff Evans.
Yeah. Was it over the limit, under control, or out of control? I never mind. I'll come a little later.
Hey, it's all be both.
Yeah. James O'Brien, 38, says he's pitting this time by, as are other cars. Justin Bumgarner slow on the track. Yeah, maybe he's just checking up early. Oh boy, that truck did not look that comfortable to ride in. But he's now down pit road, so pit cycles are wide open. We're watching the timers on the right side. If you remember, Robert Barney did it first, Nolan, but a long pit stop. Dustin Bumgarner now black flagged. Hey, that 16-second stop for Robert Barney looks okay all of a sudden because we're now at 2 black flags for playoff drivers or not playoff drivers in this cycle.
You know, Derek, I know back when you and I were covering the high tide recently, right? It would be like a weekly rant about how people don't practice green flag stops enough, and I feel like, caution! Caution is out! Jacob Watson has hit the wall hard in turn 4.
And Jacob Dunn black flagged again. Let's wait and see what happened to both. There's Jacob Watson in the grass. This is gonna hurt and help some people simultaneously. Those people who got caught black flag for speeding, they might have just lucked out, for the record. Just want to point that out. But let's watch what happens to Jacob Watson first. We'll cover a few topics. And Jacob Dunn is right behind him. Hits. I mean, oh boy.
I don't like that. That was Zach Williams making his way on down pit road.
I don't know if we can see that again. That was what happened there. Did someone not call the pit, or did Williams just stop in the middle of the road? I don't get it. But
Williams was trying to come to pit road, and Watson just ran him over. And obviously, can't put that on Jacob Dunn, right? Jacob Dunn there was nothing he could do to avoid that.
How much more time do you need to get on pit road? Boy, oh boy. I saw Jacob Dunn got a black flag, but I'm not. Is that maybe for incident points because he was on track? I don't know what that one was going to be for. That came out right as the caution did. Yeah, it's going to have to be. I don't know. We'll see if we can figure all this out. But so people like Kalin, like Brett Adams, who got caught speeding, by the way, they might luck out in the cycle. Nolan, they might. Kalin is being scored a lap down. So is Adams. But I bet they get some of this back here. With drivers now pinned in yellow, they might get to do the wave around.
And this puts this race in a pretty critical position as well, right? Under 15 minutes to go here this afternoon, and not a lot of racing time left. This is going to turn into a fist fight pretty quickly.
James Morgan's really slow. Did he? He's now slow as he's been told. He's been okay. So now he's slow as he's been told to wait for people to go on by. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But I'm amazed in a way that Jacob Watson is still on track. But that hard hit that him and Dunn had, I'm surprised that both those trucks are still out there and moving around the racing surface. I thought one or more of them would have wrecked out, honestly. And Jacob Dunn on pit road for over a minute, so he might be done. But Jacob Watson, I think, survived that moment. I mean, Zach Williams, I don't know if he just didn't call it or if he called it but decided to kind of take the very slow, like, highway merge onto the pit road. But it just felt like Watson closed up really fast there.
From looking back at it again, right, because I've been kind of like looking back on the whole lap to try and figure out if he did make the call. I don't see that there was any call made that he was coming down pit road. I think that was either a knee-jerk reaction or he just forgot to get on the horn and let these guys know behind him. But, I mean, if you don't call out that you're coming down to pit road, right, don't be surprised when the guy runs into the back of you when you suddenly slow down at an acceleration point mid-corner.
Wait a minute. Jacob Watson involved in the wreck. Watch it one more time, and we're gonna spins it around. Does not pit.
Yeah, no, he stayed out.
He's leading. This is.
I don't know. It is I'll kind of copy the words of our producer here, right? That is a choice.
Oh,
it's I don't know if it's a good choice, but it is
whoever
a
the
choice.
Whoever the team owner is of that team must be questioning that driver's call right now.
By the way, the fender is only hanging on by a thread. You see it flapping around in the window, right? Rubbing up
this
against
time
the
by?
tire.
What the
now
hell?
He's pitting, coming to. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
That is inappropriate.
We got we got
what
drivers
the
like
hell?
3 wide coming to the green flag as well. That was, oh boy, that is a messy restart all around. Watson black flagged. I think a couple other drivers got black flagged in the middle of all of this, but right now Lowendick gets clear. They were 3, 4 wide coming to pit road. Probably would have been a better idea to wave off that start because that was a complete disaster. And well, we're double file now down the back straightaway, and Regan's in the lead.
That's.
Make that Lowendick, sorry.
Everyone's got black flagged. Everyone's yelling at race control right now, and race control is trying his best. He just needs to do a clear all and move on here. That move to pit at the 1 to go. I think what happened here, Nolan, honestly, is I think from Watson's point of view, what happened is that he's scared that truck is done for the night with the too much damage or a meatball flag, whatever you want to call it. So he was trying to get every lap out of this race possible. And from a driver's standpoint, I kind of get it. But you've also got to know when, what's that phrasing? There's a time and a place for everything. That wasn't it.
Well, he comes down pit road, side by side for the lead of the race is Ted Lowendick up on the top side. Richard Regan Jr. powers through to the bottom. He's just set the fastest lap of the race as well. Remember, if Regan wins tonight, he locks out one more potential win in your in spot. So Lowendick desperate to try and keep him at bay. Lowendick wants to lock himself into the next round of the playoffs. But Regan is not going to make it easy for him up top.
No, he's not going to make it easy. And I'm happy that Richard Regan's up in the front, by the way, because I think I'm scared he was a driver that was really going to be hurt the most by that last second pit, because he would have started as the control car had Watson pitted it at an appropriate time. And then luckily I'm at least happy that Regan got up here. Whether he stays up here or not, that's his own battle. But I'm happy that he's got up here and kind of was able to kind of claim that status or that token, if you will, because I was concerned what was going to happen. But he's really trying to pinch Ted Lowendick down here. He's got Steve Loving behind him. Steve Loving got those penalties at the start of the race. 2 separate black flags on 2 separate laps. He's up to P3.
Richard Regan Jr. continuing to fire to the top side as he ride on board with Steve Loving, who's got a front row seat to this multi-lap side-by-side bout for the lead of the race. Under 10 minutes to go, and we are crossing onto lap 102 here this afternoon. Regan still up on top. Lowendick still down low, and Loving has got Mike Toomer Jr. starting to run these guys back down from 4th place.
I'm impressed by Lowendick. He's keeping up here side by side on the bottom lanes and really keeping Richard, right there together. And it's going to be at least a little bit due to the help of the cars behind, getting a little bit of draft maybe through the corner. There's Teddy. He got a better run out of 4. He would lean at the line right here, and he cannot clear though.
Can't clear yet. Lowendick still up on the inside line, holding right down to the apron. Richard Regan Jr. not giving him much room to work with down low before tracking up to the outside wall. Lowendick returns the favor down the back straightaway. The racing is tight, but it is respectful, right? These guys are keeping it clean.
Oh, that got close. I got nervous for a second with the way Ted was coming up the track. I'm going to say this, line after line, it appears like it's Lowendick. So right now, if I'm Lowendick, I'm okay with this because I know every time at the line that I'm leading this race. But at some point, something's going to give here. Someone's going to make contact. Someone's going to slip and get loose in a corner. Someone's going to maybe something minuscule that's going to make a difference here if we keep side by side like this. Or maybe Steve Loving pushes it 3 wide towards the end of this race, and he must get involved in this battle. But look how much better Teddy is out of the corner. He's almost clear right there. And boy, that's maybe his best gap so far at the line in the past 3 laps. This might be clear right here, Nolan. Watch this.
Down to the inside, Regan Jr. He's too far up the racetrack. Can't do anything about it. Lowendick. Oh, he slid up and got loose. And here comes Regan back with the drive up top. He gets the nose back in, entering turn number 3. 8 minutes to go. Regan's up top, and Lowendick trying to hold on down low. 2 vastly different lines from 2 different drivers, both wanting this win. 2 different teams. One is in already. One wants to be in. Regan started near the front. In fact, he started on the pole. Lowendick started in the back. These 2 stories cannot be any separate if you tried to write them out in a novel. But right now, again, Lowendick missed a clear call. Lowendick has to get up there. He has to block this run, or eventually Regan might eat him up. You got Nick Seraph as well as Mike Tuber Jr. back here as well for 4th and 5th. They're trying to scrap it out. You've got Loving in 3rd. He's trying to still throw his hat into the ring, and still these guys cannot get single file.
Oh, if I'm Steve Loving, I might be excited right now. So I think I have the catbird seat, right? When these guys, he's thinking, boy, when these guys make contact, or if they make contact, I'm going to slip on by. That's what Steve Loving is thinking in his head is, listen, I'm P3 right now, but it takes one mistake by the 56 or Ted Lowendick. This yellow truck or this red truck makes contact, and Steve Loving gets the lead. Regan way to the bottom. Regan has swapped lanes with Lowendick here. Now Regan's on the bottom.
Nice crossover. That was textbook for Richard Regan Jr. off turn 4. Teddy Lowendick up to the top. Can he get in there? He just barely does. Richard Regan Jr. can't do anything about it. Back down to the inside. Regan had a chance to try and slide the nose. He wasn't authoritative enough, though. Lowendick now up to the top side, and all of a sudden, the battle is still on, but it's a complete role reversal. 6 minutes to go that time by.
Nolan, at some point, Lowendick's going to have to kind of bully his way in here a little bit. He's going to have to make it known he's not okay at getting dominated. He's going to have to do something here. I'm not suggesting you wreck anyone. I'm not suggesting that you harm anyone, but maybe you just make sure you maybe scrub someone or you bump someone to say, hey, you're not going to bully me around. But he did that himself, actually, by clearing Regan. Now he's clear by a quarter of a second.
And Lowendick starting to drive away with this one at the head of the field, and this could be game over in the battle for the lead as Richard Regan Jr. maintains the P2 run. Lowendick up front. He is able to continue to pull clear, and Richard Regan Jr. has got one heck of a fight ahead of him if he wants to run this gap down before the conclusion of this race in just 5 minutes' time.
Well, I'm telling you right now, Nolan, a couple things to keep in mind. We're basically getting darn close, if not there, to what Evan Posocco calls the point of no return. That means if a caution comes out, we may not get moving again. So right now, for every second that ticks by, Ted Lowendick gets more and more excited about that potential. Jeff Evans up in the wall. He'll fall back a couple spots. Other thing I want to keep in mind here, Nolan, Richard Regan has what I call that Days of Thunder-like ability. Remember that in the movie Days of Thunder when Tom Cruise kind of finds that secret gear and kind of pulls out of nowhere? Richard Regan has that ability, by the way. He's done it before. He'll do it again. A half-second gap, not insurmountable for P2. For the moment, we'll go back to this battle between O'Brien and Holly. O'Brien to scrub the wall. This back here is for P6 and 7 on the track, Nolan. And they are fighting hard, but up front, watch out for Richard Regan Jr.
Well, I mean, you think that'd be the case, right? But Regan Jr. has been dropping back. He was over a tenth of a second slower the last lap by. This time by, Lowendick put down to 31.605. Regan lost another half a tenth that lap through, right? So I mean, these guys are only growing apart. Lowendig right now, one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack, and Regan's having to worry even more about defense from Steve Loving than he is about going on offense.
Yeah, Nick Serap to scrub the wall. He's okay, but you're right. I thought for sure Regan was holding him back. He was maybe going to just kind of lift up and let the tires, you know, maybe cool off a little bit and make another run at it. But you're right. Here comes James Morgan on through. Morgan, one of those drivers, it was near the playoff cut, just cut Colton Lane. And this is just getting interesting. Remember, Bradley Holly, the purple truck up top, Nolan, he's locked into the playoffs round 2. So he's just out here racing for fun, trying to hold off James O'Brien, but now we're definitely at the point of no return. If a caution comes out now, I don't see us getting this race started again before time runs out.
Which makes these close battles like what we're seeing with James O'Brien and Bradley Hawley so nerve-wracking to watch, right? Because it's like watching the Indy 500 when you got a tight fight for the lead, right? Because you know one wrong move and all of a sudden you're robbed of what could be a phenomenal ending to this race, as O'Brien is desperately trying to get one more position. He's trying to fight his way into the 6th place spot. Can he get clear? No, not this time.
Nope, not this time. He's going to try, and O'Brien, I think, probably will get around Holly. Here's Mike Toomer Jr., by the way, having a great night up to P4. He's trying to get around Nick Serap, and he will. Mike Toomer Jr. is just one spot away. He is trying to run down Steve Loving, but that's over a second ahead. You see that big gap right there? That's what he has to close, about 2 minutes and 15 seconds here if he wants to get up on the podium. But back through the field, the battles. I told you, remember earlier at Kansas, I said there's always a battle somewhere. Look at this now. There's all kinds of people back. Stacy Hunter back there, with James Morgan is racing back there. There's more trucks on back still battling through. Serap up in the wall. He's kind of in the way now, or was in the way of O'Brien and Holly. They've worked that out. Now a minute and a half about to be on the clock here. And you're right, Ted Lowendick is checking out. Now 0.6 of a second to the front of the field.
2 minutes to go, or just under it at this point, as Lowendick tracking out of turn number 2, still with next to no competition behind him. This race almost going to be a full 200 miles, right? This race has been bordering on a 100% length race because of the amount of runs these guys have kept green here this afternoon, which that's no small feat, right? That is a massive ups to the field, right? It's not easy to do that in just an hour and 15 minutes, but at this point, we're less than 20 laps away from what would be 200 miles.
You're right. I mean, for this week, for the people doing official racing, the NASCAR iRacing Series, NIS half-length NASCAR is 134 laps. We're currently working on, I believe, lap 116 or 117 on the board. So you're right. We're getting close to being half-distance NASCAR right here. And that's Cup NASCAR, by the way. That's not, you know, these guys are in the trucks, which is a much different line. 2 to go, I believe, for Ted Lowendick here, Nolan. And right now, it's his race to lose. Run these lines, run them smooth, don't do anything stupid. And I think for the first time, Nolan Rimple gets to see a shoey.
Quite possibly here this afternoon, as Steve Loving trying to work his way to fight up to Richard Regan Jr. Lowendick out of turn number 4. He'll slap the wall. White flag in the air. It is the final trip around the Kansas Speedway here this afternoon. Lowendick started all the way back in 27th. He was one of the drivers that did not make a qualifying lap this afternoon. And how about that? All the way, hard charger of the race. Lane has had a moment back on the racetrack, but Lowendick coming around turn numbers 3 and 4. What a drive for the number 13. He walks it off for a win at the Kansas Speedway, and in doing so, locks himself into the next round of the playoffs.
Does the smile ever happen? I'm waiting for it. Does he know he's done? I haven't seen the fist bump. Okay.
There's a fist pump in there.
There it is. I see the sigh of relief. The show of emotion. He knows he has won his way in. Colton Lane, by the way, heated in the back of the field.
Oh boy, so something has happened to Colton Lane at the very back here, and I think that may have been, would that have been in return 3?
I don't know. We'll see if we can maybe find it. See if we can find maybe what happened. Watch what's going to happen to Colton Lane here. He's in a battle right now with Robert Barney and getting the grass. And
I mean,
what? I get that move, but I'm saying for the heat that Colton Lane was showing,
Good
not
team,
proportionate.
considered,
Regardless, here
yeah.
the Columbus, Ohio native gets to celebrate. He's got the Columbus Blue Jackets on the truck, Nolan. He's got his favorite hockey player. He's got his son, Theodore Jr., and he has yet another win in the Premier Sim Racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series. Burn it down, Ted Lowendick.
I'm sure the grounds crew would prefer that he burned it out on the racetrack and not, tearing up all of their work. How long do you think it would take for them to repair all of that? Because you're gonna have to
do we have any more races at Kansas this week?
Oh, now you're angering the. We do actually. We have one in 24 hours. You're gonna have to reseed the whole area down there.
Yeah, tomorrow night for
and
OMSRL.
the whole thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be a mess.
The Speed Cup Series will close out a Kansas triple header. He blew up the motor, so now he's got oil leaking down as well, just for good measure. Take a look at the post-race results after 120 laps. It is Ted Lowendick taking home number 1 this afternoon. Richard Regan Jr. will be number 2 on the racetrack. Steve Loving tried to submit. He'll have to settle for 3rd this afternoon. We'll talk to all of them in just a moment. For now, it's James O'Brien in 4th, Mike Toomer Jr. in 5th. The first of the drivers not in the playoffs. Then it's Bradley Hawley, James Morgan, Stacey Hunter, Zach Williams, and Jeff Evans closing out the top 10.
We move back into P11. Nick Saroff with Daniel Knight back there in 12th. Thomas Sink up to 13th. Nicholas Godina is in 14th with Colton Lane back there in 15th. Nicholas Schwartz, Brandon Walter, Matt Gagnon, Doug Evans, and Mark Kalin back through your top 20.
And from there, it's Robert Barney in 21st place with Dustin Baumgartner, Jacob Dunn, Nicholas Acosta, Nick Hunter, Jacob Watson, Brett Adams, Nick Byer, Kyle Dewey, and Jamie Graham closing out the field alongside Doyle Lawrence, who was our first retiree of this race early on. 31 trucks started this race. About 25 of those made it to the checkered flag. What a ride.
Well, Nolan, it is now time we enter into that part of the broadcast. It's the Regenboog Motorsports post-race show. Speed is just the starting point. But success is built through discipline, focus, and development. At Regenboog Motorsports, their iRacing coaching is built to develop winners through one-on-one coaching. The focus is on the fundamentals that turn fast drivers into champions. Be a smart racecraft, disciplined decision-making, and pressure-proof performance. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about building a foundation for lasting success. Regenboog Motorsports, developed for wins, built for championships. Well, Nolan, as we enter into the post-race show, we'll wait for our drivers to become available, and we'll see who we can have a chat with. And I think it's appropriate that we wait for the driver who won. I'm sure he's getting ready, I'm sure, to do his shoey. So let's go in backwards order while we get Ted Lowendick ready here. So I'll start with P3. Let's bring in the driver who, well, I guess it's a tale of two races. Steve Loving, you started the night in insurmountable odds. 2 black flags on 2 laps, and somehow you're P3. How'd you pull that off?
Well, the first black flag I deserved. The second black flag, I kind of did it to myself, which is ironic. I was trying to hurry up and get off the pit lane in front of the leaders, and I gunned it a little too early, and I touched the track before the exit cone. It gave me a black, and I was like, of course. But my thought at that point was just stay disciplined. I'm only the only 1 lap down, so get your lap back. Try to do an alternate strategy. I knew I was good at the track, and hopefully something will land my way.
So I got to tell you, I was kind of jealous of him. We have a great view up here in the broadcast booth and through the cameras, but you had the first seat available to watch that battle with Richard Regan and Ted Lowendick. What was going through your mind as they were side by side and doing those undercuts? What about 10 minutes to go?
So there was a couple things. One, I wanted to stay with them, but at the same time, I was trying to save a little bit of tire, knowing they're probably both pushing it to have a shot. But that started to give a gap, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. It was obvious Ted was really protecting the bottom line, so I was trying to find a way I could get a run off the corner and possibly shove them 3 wide and put them in the middle. So I was talking to Rich about that. Does he want me to make him an Oreo cookie? But I never could find a position to be able to do that. I was trying to work with Rich as much as possible, but the high line just wasn't playing out. So I was kind of shifting between both of them, just waiting to see what would happen. But once I realized I really didn't have anything for them, I figured I didn't want to get greedy, and P3 is better than P last.
I would agree with that. Well, next week we move on to the Charlotte Roval. So, what is your comfort of road racing in these trucks?
I think it's actually the Charlotte Oval, not the Roval. I'm not entirely sure. If it's the Roval, not happy. If it's the Oval, happy.
Well, I got bad news. It's the Roval.
Okay, not happy.
Fair enough. All right, buddy. Listen, it's always a pleasure watching your race. Congrats on the P3 run, and we will see you next week.
Thanks a lot.
All right, you're very welcome. That's Steve Loving. Now we're going to catch up with P2 and Richard Regan Jr. Richard, boy, that was a heck of a battle you had, buddy. That battle with you and Ted about 10 minutes to go. That's a masterclass in racecraft. So how did it feel inside the truck?
Not great. Still trying to get this VR worked out and trying to race that close with my VR not really that great right now is very nauseating. But it was definitely a fun battle, and yeah, you know, it's nice to be able to run that tight with people for, I don't know, what did we do that for, like 10 laps, and we didn't wreck or nothing, and we you know, we were just both talking, waiting to get interviewed here, and laughing about it, so that's awesome.
When you backed it up a little bit and you pulled the undercut on the front straight and you hit the apron and kind of got up under him, did you think that was the winning move?
Not really. I wanted to stay at the top, and I was trying to just figure out how to get the momentum in my favor, but like the lack of off throttle time, especially here at night, it's just really difficult. And you know, obviously running that hard on the top for that many laps in a row, when I went back to the bottom, I overdrove turn one, so I had to lift out of it, and that pretty much sealed the deal. You know, I was able to stay with him, you know, lap time wise those last couple laps, but you know, when you're racing with people that are that good, and you know, you're all that tight on lap time, it's hard to make up any time unless they make a mistake.
So my last question: speeding on pit road, really?
Yeah, part of the new VR stuff. So we'll have to try to get that dialed in. But still came back to rally to P2. We had the speeding on pit road and a bad pit strategy call. So being able to come back to second's pretty good.
Fair enough. Well, you know, it's always a pleasure to watch you race. I'll give you a second. I'm going to sit back and let you do all your shout outs and thank yous before we let you head out.
Yeah, for sure. Got to give a shout out to Mission 22, Nina's and Paints. Let's see, Kaylee Sweet Creations, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Regenberg Motorsports, anyone else who helps support the team, everyone that helps support Premier Sim Racing. Shout out to Steve for having to serve a drive-through and finishing second. Also shout out to James O'Brien because he won't be here for a few weeks after tonight. And then, yeah, thank you to you guys at Green Flag TV.
Oh, buddy, it's always a pleasure watching your race, and we'll see you in 1 week at the Roval.
Yep, thank you.
All right, that is Richard Regan Jr. Fishing 2. Now it is time to introduce our lead commentator, Nolan Rempel, to a new tradition as he gets to interview the race winner, Ted Lowendick.
And Teddy, as I understand, Shoeys is the name of the game. The only other driver I've heard of doing this would be that of Austin Tucker. But of course, you take the win this afternoon. You didn't qualify, and 27th to first, that's no easy feat. And hey, how does it feel to lock yourself into the playoffs with that run?
Feels pretty good. That caution, the last caution, came out at the perfect time. Hadn't pitted yet. Trapped the guys that I was running with the lap down, and you know, everybody was pitting a little early, and I decided let's just stay out a little bit longer. We weren't gonna catch them, so hey, it worked out. And yeah, we're moving on to the next round. Don't need to worry about next week, where I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna get to qualify again. So we'll see if we can hit reset and try to do this again next week.
Overall, it's a stellar night at the office for you. You mentioned it feels good not having to worry about this going into next week. Do you have a particular game planned, or is it going to be more studying your opponents to try to see if you can find any kind of leg up on them entering the next round?
It'll just be driving. I don't know. I did a practice race yesterday, and it definitely helped. But I don't know. I think we're at Charlotte Oval. I don't think it's the Roval, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, I've got a shoe here and some champagne. And yeah, welcome to the tradition. We'll try not to spill it all over ourselves like we did the very first time we did this, but
Oh,
cheers,
dear.
guys.
That's expensive equipment.
Out of the racing shoe, into the mouth. Ted Lowendick wins in season 3. Nolan,
Look at
there it
that.
is. That's the racing shoe that he just had on.
Didn't
He's
spill a
celebrating.
drop.
There we go. Hey, I'm getting better with time. What can I say?
Well, just win some more, and you'll get more practice.
Hey, and yeah, it's nice. It's nice and cold this time because I've got a refrigerator now that I can put this in, and my wife not judge me for putting champagne that I'm going to drink out of shoes in. So
By the way, he meant the champagne in the fridge, not the shoe, I think.
maybe.
Why not both?
You know, that's a good point. Anyway, but yeah, thanks to you guys for putting on a good show. Everybody in PSR, everybody at Want It Back, Solpeck for making these fantastic racing wheels they have, and a Bruzy for these really sick gloves that I got as well. So yeah, thanks guys. I'm gonna go finish drinking this out of the shoe, and yeah.
That was Ted Lowendick coming home number 1 here at the end of the night. And Derrick, that is going to wrap it up for the Riga Book Motorsports post-race show. What a ride that we had here this afternoon. And, well, one race to go here in this round. It's the Charlotte Roval coming on up in just 7 days' time.
You know, it's always funny when I hear those guys say to us, Nolan, say, hey, thanks for putting on the show. Those guys put on the show. We're just here, like, we're just the first spectators, we like to call ourselves, right? We just get to sit here and watch it a few seconds ahead of what everyone sees in the broadcast. But those guys put on the show, and that was fun all night long. A couple cautions, but hey, a great race, a great finish, a great winner. Overall, a pretty fun night. We're back in 1 week here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm telling you, it's the Roval. I've looked it up. These guys are, unless someone changed them on me in the background, it is written down as the Roval. Myself, Evan Posocco, are back here next week. But in the meantime, Nolan, if people are bored or excited and want to watch more racing, we're not done on Green Flag TV. Tomorrow night, I know you're here for OMSRL. I think we're back together Friday night for a brand new league. There's racing on Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to be a fun week here on Green Flag TV.
Plenty of action still yet to come here on Green Flag TV. Not only do we have the final race of the Kansas triple header coming out tomorrow night at the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series, we've also got the Zero Torque Racing League kicking off racing action at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. SRA has a lone show on Saturday for the SRA Gen 4 Series at Michigan. And then a doubleheader once again on Sunday with the Classic IndyCar Series at the streets of Long Beach alongside the Blaze Battles ARCA Series at Bristol Motor Speedway. In the meantime, if you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name has been Nolan Rempel alongside Derrick Watson. Thank you all so much for joining us. Dustin Ollis is always doing a great job behind the cameras for today's race. We'll see you all next week when we duke it out one more time in this round at America's home for motorsports.